On our morning show today from WRCO, we have in the studio Craig Perkins, we have Julie Thompson, and we also have Melissa Meyer, marketing strategist for EW Organ and Tissue Donation. We're going to talk today about kidney disease, transplants, and other topics. But first of all, we're going to talk about a benefit coming up in the area. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Phil.
Yeah, good to have you in here today.
Thank you for having us.
This is a topic that's near and dear to you.
Yes, we've had, I think the most recent one I helped with was Ben Hipsch's pancake breakfast. Ben was going through some cancer journeys of his own, and we put together a pancake breakfast, but our family's also been on the receiving end of the generosity of our community, and so I was happy to help with organizing this one. So with Marge Brock, who is Craig's mom, we are working with the Ithaca Lions Club. We'll be having a pancake breakfast at Ithaca School in the Commons on Sunday, March 16th. We'll start serving at 7 a.m. and we will conclude at 12:30. There will also be a silent auction and some bake sale items.
So lots of good stuff there to bid on.
Always, yeah.
Baked goods and...
Yes,
okay.
We've already received some commitments for bake sale items, so people will definitely want to come. Craig works for Northland Door. Some of their vendors have donated. We have a garage door opener and full setup there, and some goodies from Northland Door. So there will be something for everyone.
Awesome. Does Craig come with that door then? Is that how that works, Craig? Or
he has been known to pitch in when needed.
Need some technical advice, I'd be more than happy.
Awesome. Well, good to have you in the studio, Craig. And let's talk a little bit about your journey. You're the recipient of a kidney transplant, and you're living proof that it works, aren't you?
Yeah, I received a living donor kidney on November 1st. It all moved really quick. It was like a 2-week heads up, like, hey, you're going to receive this kidney on this day. The surgery's already set up if you accept it, so you got to kind of make a decision within like a few hours, because otherwise they're going to move down the list. And I said, yeah, I would definitely take that.
So you were told that you had to pretty much be on call, ready to go, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, they schedule that surgery, and if, my biggest fear during that was illness. Like if you get a cold or any illness pre-surgery, it will disqualify you. So that was a very nerve-wracking 2 weeks. So,
well, you're real well versed in medical terms now, and I don't think you probably were a year or so ago.
I learned to be my own nurse for a while. So yeah, all the different medications you got to memorize, and I take probably 25 different pills a day for the rejection and not getting ill. And so you definitely got to know what to take and not to take, and be able to switch it up real quick, depending on your lab results, weekly labs and stuff like that. So
how long ago did you learn that you were in kidney failure?
It was, I believe, September of 23 is when they diagnosed the autoimmune disease which caused the kidney failure, and the treatment options, and I pretty much went on dialysis right away, just because it was so bad. They kind of hoped to bring it back, with treatments and stuff, and it never got any better. So you just had to stay on the dialysis through the journey till transplant. So,
what did you learn about autoimmune disease then?
Not a lot of big terms that I didn't understand. There's a lot of them out there, and it definitely attacks the body. I do. They basically suppress it with chemotherapy treatment in my situation, and it basically runs it down so far that it quits attacking your body. Is my understanding of it, and I'll be doing the treatments on that for a couple more years, just so it doesn't reoccur. So that's something I have to deal with, in long term. That not looking forward to, but it's just something I got to do. So,
do you know anything about the person that donated the kidney?
I don't. I was just one of the lucky ones. I talked with the transplant coordinator, and I basically said, I feel like I won the lottery. I'm not talking like the scratch off ticket. I'm talking like the Mega Million kind of thing, and it was a great day. So yeah,
you're a brand new man.
Yeah, well, right?
You're getting close.
Getting close. I'd say I'm probably like 85% or something. I ain't gonna run no marathons yet, but I can walk up a flight of stairs without having to take a break.
Sure.
And and being in dialysis, it really runs you down. I mean, the first 6 months or so that I was on dialysis, you can kind of regain. It's every other day kind of thing. When I was doing it in the center, you did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you had a little rest. So Sunday, like you're good to go, and then by Monday, afternoon, you're just wiped from the treatment. So, and then as time progressed, I lost a lot of that. And you just never regained it. It was just a kind of a solid state, like of being fatigued. It just never got better. So that was the toughest part about it.
Somebody that didn't know, looking at you right now, I mean, they wouldn't know that you had gone through any of this. You look good, man.
Well, thank you, Phil. It never gets old hearing that.
Yeah. But you do. I mean, you feel good?
Yeah, I do. Prior to transplant, I really had to keep up on, like, I did home dialysis, and you had to keep up on iron, and you could definitely tell when through, like, looking at somebody's eyes when it was getting low, and it was the same situation. I had to draw labs and stuff at home and send it in, and then adjust any of my treatments right at home. So. Yeah, I just had to get some boosters here a week or so ago. They're like, oh, you feel comfortable giving yourself a shot? I'm like, bring it on. I got this, so I know how to do that now, But, yeah.
You're used to everything. You told me in the lobby that, you're never sure that you're going to get this till you wake up and it's in your body. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's one of the nurses, they kind of instilled in me, like, you could show up, and when they harvest, either living or non, when they opening you up and they take it out, it could be damaged from a traumatic injury, or there could be different polyps or something on there. Until they take that out, there's no guarantee. And when they pulled mine out, he came in right into the room, and he's like, "Yeah, we just got it out, and everything looks good." And he's like, "We're just prepping the room, and we'll be rolling you in about half an hour." I'm like, "I guess let's do this."
So how long after you got the kidney, the new kidney, were you up walking around? Did they get you up fairly soon?
The next day.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they get you up, and I couldn't tell you the difference in a 24-hour difference, because I had the surgery on like a Friday afternoon, and by Saturday afternoon, I was, ready to leave. I mean, I felt fantastic. Cleaned your blood out that quick. By Monday they sent me home. So
really,
yeah. So
that seems so soon after such a major thing.
It was, yeah. It's a fairly large decision too. They were telling me, 7-8 inches, and it turned out to be like 15, I think.
Yeah, ruined your modeling career then.
Yeah, right? I know. Like my belly model career is ruined.
Yeah. Oh well, you got that going for you. But we want to transition a little bit and talk about the importance of organ donors. Melissa Meyer is here, marketing strategist for EW Organ and Tissue Donation. And Melissa, you've been listening to the conversation, and there are a lot of success stories like Craig's, aren't there?
Yes, a lot of success stories. And that's great when somebody can receive an organ and walk out of the hospital a couple days later and get back to most of their regular activities. The unfortunate truth, not to be a downer, is that about 17 people every day die waiting for an organ. Mm-hmm. That's just the fact. There's a huge gap between available organs and the recipients, or the people that are waiting on a recipient list for organs. So my job is to encourage everyone to become an organ donor, to register as an organ donor, either through your state, through the National Registry. In Wisconsin, we've got several ways that you can register. You can register at heroicdeed.com, like heroicdeed.com, or when you're getting your hunting, fishing, and trapping license, there's a checkbox there that you can register. This year, for the first time on your state tax forms, and I know nobody likes to pay taxes, but when you sit down to do it, there is a checkbox on your Wisconsin state tax form where you can register as a donor. And then, of course, at the DMV, when you renew or get your driver's license, you can check a box and register as a donor. So that's, our job is to save as many lives as we can and have as many people registered as organ donors as we can. And then my second call to action after that is talk to your family about your decision and talk to your family about your wishes, because God forbid, when they if you're in a situation where you may be able to be a donor, which is actually very rare, you want to, it's very helpful if your family already understands what your wishes would be and what your decisions would be. No one likes to think about end of life, and end of life planning is difficult, but the reality is that we're all going to get there. So we strongly encourage people to have a plan and then talk to your family about what your wishes and what your decision is, because it makes it easier on the family. It's one less thing for them to think about on that day.
Years ago, it used to be on your driver's license.
Yep, there's an orange donor
dot. It
dot.
still is. Yeah, I don't remember it now. It's been a while.
Yep, there's an orange dot that they put on your driver's license, and now everything is online. In fact, this is the 15-year anniversary of everything being online in the state of Wisconsin. So we can, once we know the party's first name, last name, information, our team goes to work seeing if they're on any registries. That's one of the first things that we check when we get a referral from, for example, an ER. And I know this is hard to talk about, but it's the reality is that we can save lives.
Right.
Also, what we urge people to think about is not ruling yourself out. People think, oh, I'm too old, or I drank too much, I smoked too much, I'm hard on my body, nobody would want my organs. And that's really not the case. You'd be surprised. There was a case last year where there was a 97-year-old donor who gave an organ to a 65-year-old recipient. Okay, so the science is leaping and bounding forward. The research is leaping forward. So we just ask people to don't rule yourself out. Like, leave that decision up to the medical professionals, right? Because you might be able to donate corneas, and somebody who was blind can see now, right? There's all kinds of things. There's burn victims, skin. If you've ever had an ACL repair, that was probably donated tissue. So there's all sorts of ways that you can save lives and also improve people's lives through organ and tissue donation. I won't get off my soapbox now. That was a speech.
But you'd like to see those rates get higher, In some parts of the state, they're higher than others, correct?
Right. And in fact, Richland County has one of the lowest percentages of registrants in the state of Wisconsin. I think it's right around 54%. I didn't look at it today, but and that's low. Some of the highest areas have registration rates, and it's a percentage of adult population of as high as 74, 75, 76% of people make that legal decision and go on a registry and say, yes, I want to save a life. If I'm in a position where I could save a life through organ donation, I want to save a life. I'm giving my authorization now so that it's one less thing for my family to think about if they're having that tough day.
Well, what about a scenario of, let's say, a young adult dies, unfortunately, in some sort of traffic crash, but they have not signed up to be a donor? Can the family donate the organs, or is...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's... so if you've... Get technical here, it's called first person authorization. If you've registered somewhere as an organ tissue donor, it's first person authorization. Those are your wishes. Your family, if you're in a position where you can't speak for yourself, which is the case, then your family can give that authorization. Yes, absolutely. And that's something that is usually discussed. Julie, jump in if you want to, because I don't have any medical background whatsoever, so I should have said that right at the top. But no, your family absolutely can make that decision, and it comes along with sort of a group of other end of life decisions, right? If they're talking to medical professionals and you have received a grave prognosis, which is terrible, it means you're not getting better, you're not walking out, then the family can be approached and we can have that conversation. And the family is more than welcome to bring it up as well, to say we want our son or daughter to live on. Like, it can be a real comfort to the family to know that heart is still beating somewhere, to know those lungs are breathing somewhere, to know, okay, I lost my child or I lost my loved one, but another family is now maybe going to get another 10, 15, 20 years with their loved one. So it can be something of a silver lining, and it can be a comfort to a grieving family to know that they were able to do some good out of a bad situation. And
I'll also say, professionals that are in hospitals or ICUs or wherever patients may be, they're going to be tender. They're going to be respectful. They're going to have conversations that are difficult, but they're not going to be pushy. They're not going to be, they'll be persuasive in a way that respects the wishes of the people in the room. They're not there to be salespeople, but they're going to talk to you about potential. You're bringing hope to someone who might not have it. In the end, like you said, that person is living on and bringing more life and hope and potentially saving other people's lives. We don't know what the potential for that human has. Craig is very valuable in his job and in his life, and he's bringing things to people. So the life that person brought to him is passed forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You read those stories all the time. In fact, I just wrote in the last week about a family hearing the heart of their loved one in this other young person, and that's got to be amazing.
It's very moving, and we do a lot of things to honor that deceased donor, right? Because it is the ultimate gift, and it's a truly altruistic gift, and they are heroes. And we'll do a flag raising. I'm sure people may have seen honor walks on social media. We have highly trained social workers and a chaplain. They follow the families. It's very, very tender and respectful, because this is the ultimate gift. And this family's probably having the worst day they've ever had, and they're grieving. So we never, ever want to do anything that disrespects or dishonors that donor or that situation. And our teams will stay with those families for months or sometimes even years. We've got someone in Wisconsin who does a golf outing every year to honor her loved one, and it's been 10 years, and it's her way of giving back, because it was a really rough day, but she was able to find some good.
Are there some misinformation out there about organ donation and those kind of things?
The couple that I hear, I do a lot of events and talk to the public one-on-one, not so much on the radio. But the one that I hear most is, if they know I'm a donor, they won't save me.
Oh.
Which is absolutely
Completely
100%
farce.
not even close to true. In fact, it's the opposite. And medical professionals are morally, ethically, and legally bound to take every possible measure to save a life. We are never called, we never approach a family unless it has gone past that point of grave prognosis. So the idea that someone is out there aggressively getting organs, that's just not true. It couldn't be farther from the truth. What's the other one? And then the other one is, nobody would want my organs. I'm too sick. I'm too old. And again, the science is leaping forward at incredible rates. Even someone who's HIV positive, there are people who are HIV positive on the waiting list. So we might match you with one of those. Hepatitis can be cured. There's all sorts of things that we can do to
Improve the health of an organ.
Thank you. Thank you.
After procurement is a word that's used in healthcare.
Yeah, we say recovery.
Yeah.
We have the recovery team. And again, we do moments of silence in the OR. We play whatever music the family wants in the OR. It's very, very much honoring and respecting that ultimate gift of that donor.
Well, and Melissa talked about the health of the donor. So, if end of life is a conversation that families are having with the healthcare team, the healthier that organ or those organs are, the better survival it is. So, like Melissa was saying, you want to do everything you can to make sure those organs have the best chance of survival, so that the recipient has the best chance of survival. So there is almost no stops they won't pull. They want to make sure that they're doing the best by the patient and by the recipient.
Indeed. And then, so as we mentioned with Craig, things move quite quickly. How long can the organ stay viable then before it goes into another body?
I am not a medical professional, and it varies by organ. I could quick Google, or Julie, you might know.
I don't know the specifics, but it's true. It has to do with the particular donor, the particular organ.
I think that kidney is the longest. It can be up to 24 hours.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The longer it is out, the less viable it becomes.
Right. It's
if it's out for 4 or 5 hours, if I was what I was told, that's way better than 20. Not that it can't be, but to get it going again, it takes a lot more medication.
And I can remember stories when I worked at Mayo in Rochester. I can remember stories of patients saying, "Yeah, they held our flight in Minneapolis to come to Rochester," and it turned out it was, someone walking on with a cooler for I don't mean to.
That happened to
sound
me
crude,
on a
but
flight
it
recently.
happens,
Yeah,
and
Really?
because time is of the essence. If that person carrying the organ doesn't make it on that flight, they might have to wait another hour or longer. Time is tissue, just like with brains and strokes and blood clots. Time is tissue, so you want.
So I
blood
just Googled.
pumping.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Good.
So heart and lungs, 4 to 6 hours. liver 8 to 12 hours, pancreas 12 to 18 hours, intestine, and we do small intestine once in a while, 8 to 16 hours, and kidneys 24 to 36 hours. But I know, I mean, just from the ambient knowledge I've picked up working at an OPO, 24 hours is really, if it gets past that, right? Because you need to find a transplant center that will receive it.
Because that takes time too. Like, you know, Craig had to drive from Richland Center to Madison. So you have to factor in those things when you have a donor. You don't want the recipient several hours away. So again, tales of patients saying, yeah, we had to stay in Rochester for 3 months, or, you know, we've been here since September. So, you know, to make sure everything happens and is successful as best it can be, the timeline needs to be short.
And it's really impressive, the details that come together, because there's our nurses, the coordinators, there's the social workers that approach a family, there's the surgical recovery team. Frequently, if it's let's say the transplant is going to happen at Northwestern or somewhere nearby, those surgeons might come personally for the recovery and personally bring the organ back. Multiple ORs have to be set up. And then all of the things that honor the decedent, like our honor walks and our flag raisings and our moment of silence, and what music are we going to play, and is this going to travel on ground or in a plane? Are we med flighting, or are we so many things need to come together. It really, really is a miracle when it all lines up. Yeah. And someone gets their loved one
right
to come home. And I mean, it's amazing. And that's, again, circle back to my drum that I beat. Register to be an organ tissue eye donor, because it's very unusual for someone to pass in a way that organ donation is even possible. And the more people that are registered, the more lives we can save. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Craig, I think we're fortunate to live where we do, because we have such a fine health system in Madison. An hour away,
yes.
You're able to get down there in a heartbeat, weren't you?
And I would say the biggest advantage they have is like right in the front door is their transplant clinic. I mean, it like takes priority. You walk right in there, they get you right in. You know, so this is post transplant. From day one at UW was fantastic. The doctors, the nurses, I can't say anyone wronged me in any way. It was informative. I can't complain.
I wonder what's going through your head as you're driving to Madison that night. I mean, you're just thinking, you're hopeful, obviously.
Absolutely. It was very stressful. Nerve-wracking was the best way I could put it. You show up and they send you home. That's the worst case scenario, But not only that, there's stories of, receiving a transplant and it just doesn't take, That's a big if, There's different scenarios where, like, if it doesn't wake up right away is what they say, and you end up having to stay there for a week or 2 weeks. They'll put you up in a hospital or a hotel, and you got to come in for treatments. And I don't know what drugs they give you to kind of boost it back up, but that really plays in your mind. And as the days progress, when you're in the hospital there, everything looks good, and the next day's even better. And they come in and tell you, you're textbook, and we're probably sending you home tomorrow.
Woohoo! There you go.
Then you can finally breathe a little bit, But yeah, and everything's been good for the last 4 months. So,
and you're back to work?
Yeah, back full time. I took about 6 weeks off. They say you could go up to like 3 months taking time off, and it was definitely 6 weeks because couldn't stand up straight for about 4 weeks. Like there was a couple days like I think I'm ready to walk. Like I'm gonna go check the mail. You get about 30 steps out of the house, and it's like I'm gonna go back to the couch. The mail can wait. So it was 4 weeks, and you were pretty sore. It took me a while to stand straight up. I don't know if it helped. Bending over and walking, but.
Felt better.
In my mind, it was.
Yeah. Well, of course, this is coming up on Sunday, the pancake breakfast, and I'm sure you're hoping to see a lot of friends out there that day.
Oh, I've already got a lot of responses from people, like, they can't wait to come help support a cause for me, and I can't thank Julie and the community enough for putting it on for me.
Absolutely. We're very fortunate to live where we live, Julie.
Yes, we are. It's a great community event. I think that's something, too, I was talking with Craig's mom about. We live in a community where everybody, yes, we're literally related, but It's still a community. We're one big family. It doesn't take a village. It takes several townships and villages. And, people might not have deep pockets, but they're willing to eat breakfast. It's a time where you can get together and you appreciate each other's company. You catch up with people you haven't seen in a while, but, you spend a few dollars, and hopefully if the shoe is on the other foot, we know people will pitch in too.
Well, it's a celebration, I think.
Absolutely,
in a lot of
it
ways.
is. Yes.
Yeah. Celebrate Craig and
Yes.
all he's been through. And
a lot of the successes our community has had. Craig is one. Craig is one organ donor or one organ recipient in our community. We've had friends and family who've received bone marrow. There are different blood recipients. My own children, they were preemies. They received blood products. So, even if you aren't an organ donor, you can donate blood. You can register to be a marrow donor, and a lot of those things take just your time. It's a little inconvenience, but you're not. But you can also be a living donor. Craig was a recipient of a living donor, and that's a really selfless act too.
I guess so. Yeah.
Being able to think about someone else, and knowing maybe someday I might need to, but right now I'm okay if I can give one of mine to somebody else.
Right. Yeah, and that's a point that we haven't talked about a lot, Melissa. But living donors, certainly, what a selfless act that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was at a banquet last weekend with a gentleman who's lived 63 years on one kidney and is just fine. He had a situation when he was a child, down to one kidney, and you would never know. I mean, he's walking around, he's dancing, he's eating dinner, and he was shouting that from the rooftops because it was a Kidney Foundation awareness-raising event. And you can also do, obviously, the highest percentage or highest match would be like a twin, donating to a twin, a identical twin, but and family members and all of that. But you can also do, and you can get more information from the National Kidney Foundation. If you just go to National Kidney Foundation, you can do there's a voucher program. So let's say I want to give you one of my kidneys, but we're not a match. I can altruistically donate a kidney to whoever is the best match, and you get a voucher that, for lack of a better expression, moves you up in the list. That's definitely something that can be done as well. So, and blood, marrow, there's also, you can be a living liver donor. You can give part of your liver to someone and your liver actually regenerates. The technology is amazing of what people can do. And again, back to if you knew that you could save a life, would you?
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that blood donation too, because I had to have several transfusions.
Oh, tons of blood.
I mean,
yeah.
My kid, your kidneys help produce blood, so I probably had 3 or 4 transfusions over a year. I just couldn't keep my hemoglobin up, and I mean that's huge. I mean it's almost as good as an organ because you can't live without blood.
Right.
So,
and that's something. There's myths out there because there was a stretch where certain populations weren't allowed to donate blood, and a lot of those.
Those restrictions have really been lifted a lot because we've discovered a lot of those restrictions that were in place were false. Mm-hmm. That a lot of different filters, I'll say, might have kept you from having healthy blood, and that's just not true any longer. They've done a lot of research that has proven that some of those things were misinformation that we just didn't have the science for.
Overly cautious.
Yeah, overly cautious is a really good phrase.
But just about anyone can donate blood, and your body makes more the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have lots of drives in our area, so
yes, we do.
Lots of chances.
If you can't find one, you're not looking.
Right, exactly. Well, it's been a very informative show. We're going to talk to Dr. Fahad Aziz coming up here in a little bit, kind of getting kind of on the medical side of it. Very interesting conversation coming up here. Anything else anybody would like to add today?
Come and eat pancakes.
And the hours are?
We're going to start serving at 7 a.m. and we'll wrap it up about 12:30. Lots of bake sale and silent auction items.
Wonderful. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Craig.
Thank you, Phil.
You bet. Craig Perkins joining us along with Julie Thompson and Melissa Meyer, marketing strategist for Yield Organ and Tissue Donation on The Morning Show. Dr. Fahad Aziz joins us on WRCO Radio and from the UW Health Transplant Center. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is a cause that is near and dear to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Phil, for having me.
What can you tell me about what you do, like a typical day for you?
So, Phil, I'm a kidney transplant doctor. So most of my day goes by taking care of the people who have a kidney transplant and also taking care of the patients, who have a chronic kidney disease and who are undergoing a transplant evaluation. So most of my day revolves around either on this side of transplant or the other side of transplant.
Is kidney disease more common than it used to be?
Kidney disease is, as the medical science is advancing, people are getting more old, and that's why there's more kidney disease now as compared to what we have a long time ago. If I talk about the number, right today, there are 37 million people in this country who have a chronic kidney disease. And there are close to 800,000 people today who have a failed kidney today.
So a lot of times, do people have typical symptoms, or can you be going along without symptoms?
And that's the most unfortunate part of the kidney disease, that 90% of the people who have a chronic kidney disease don't even know that they have a kidney disease. And unfortunately, when this disease shows up, people already have advanced symptoms of, kidney failure. And that's the problem because, if you don't know we have a disease, we don't take the essential steps to slow it down.
At what level can we turn it around just with lifestyle changes?
I think if I tell you the number one cause of kidney disease is diabetes in this country, and number two cause is high blood pressure. And both these diseases have a lot to do with the way we live. If we have a better control of diabetes and if we have a good control of blood pressure by our diet, by exercise, we can definitely prevent chronic kidney disease. And if somebody have it, we can slow the progression of this disease.
It's astounding to me how many people are on the kidney transplant wait list. That number seems to go up.
Absolutely. If I talk only today, there are more than 100,000 people who are waiting for a kidney transplant. And let me tell you some more numbers, and we in this country, transplant somewhere between 20 to 24,000 patients every year. So you can see a huge, gap between the people who are in the need of a kidney and, the number of people who get a kidney.
To be a kidney donor, we need to go through the process, but I think that's one of the things that you're on the radio to talk about today is you'd like to see more people sign up to be donors, wouldn't you?
That's absolutely right. So if we look at over kidney transplant in this country, only 1/3 of the people get a kidney from living donation, which means somebody, either it's a relative or a friend, step forward and is willing to give a kidney to their loved ones. So if we can increase that number, we can improve the gap we have, people who are waiting for this, life-saving organ, and the people who are actually getting it. So to bridge that gap, we definitely need more living donors.
To be a recipient, do you have to have the same blood type as the donor?
So now, with advancement in medical science, they don't have to be the same donor. What we say that, people can undergo a paired kidney exchange program. So it means if my blood group does not match with one of my loved ones who need a kidney, then I can enter into this exchange program, where I can give my kidney to someone else and, in the list, they will find a person with the same blood type and give it to my loved one. In the end of the day, everyone would have a living kidney and everyone will get the kidney sooner. So it's possible. It's not a direct donation, but it's possible.
So obviously we can live without a kidney then if we're healthy. Is that correct?
So we are made with two kidneys. And if we are in a good health, one kidney is good enough to take us for the rest of our life. So when someone, give a kidney to and we approve them, from a health standpoint of view, the chances of that person losing their kidney is less than 1%, which is a very small risk.
Can we have one kidney diseased and the other one not?
Now, usually the kidney disease happens in both kidneys. So that's the reason when we are trying to do a kidney biopsy to diagnose a kidney disease, we can biopsy either of the kidneys, and that can tell us about the disease.
Why would a kidney be turned down for a recipient? Are there a lot of reasons?
There can be a lot of reasons, if we talk specific to living donation, if somebody is, have own health issues, or we deem that, giving the kidney may not be beneficial to that person, then we turn those donors down. At the end of the day, we have to make sure if we take a kidney from someone, it's a safe choice for them. If somebody give a kidney and end up on dialysis, then we did not achieve the goal we want to achieve.
Does someone have to be vaccinated against, for instance, COVID? Is that one of the things that you look at as well?
That requirement is no more needed in most of the centers. But overall, we do like, our donors to be healthy, vaccinated, so that don't get into any disease. But it's not a requirement, though.
Talk a little bit about dialysis, because I know that we have a dialysis center here in Richland Center as well that is great for area patients. But that's for an advanced kidney failure, is that correct?
That's right. So whenever the kidney function is less than 15%, that's the point where most of the people, it's kidney is, we need kidney to live. It's a life-sustaining organ. So if somebody's kidney fail, now to sustain them with the life, we need dialysis, which basically, we put the patients with this machine which act as a kidney, which act as a filter, and takes the toxins out of her body, take excessive fluid out of her body and stabilize our electrolytes. So that's what the dialysis do. Means right now, there are more than 500,000 patients in this country who are undergoing, some sort of, dialysis. Either hemodialysis in the centers are doing in a home in forms of peritoneal dialysis.
Is it an exciting time to be in medicine? Because it sounds like you're making all kinds of breakthroughs.
Absolutely. I think our center is doing really well. We usually transplant on average, close to 300 kidney transplant alone. We have 1/3 of our transplants are living donor kidneys, so we are trying to expand that number so that, we can serve the needs of this area.
I think that we're very fortunate to live where we live, close proximity to Madison, because I think you have a great system there at the UW Health, don't you?
Thank you very much for saying that, Phil. That's right. It's very easy to register through our process, to get a kidney. We maintain a list of people who are in need of a kidney. Then, we also have people, who want to undergo a living donation. We have people from different blood types, who are waiting for a kidney. We get those organs, almost, if we talk about 300 transplants per year, it means we are almost, doing a transplant almost close to average of one per day. We also do, several high-risk transplants when the recipients are very sick, or they have other medical conditions. So we are expert in those transplants as well. We're also fairly good in people who need two organs. For example, if somebody has kidney failure from diabetes, we can do a simultaneous kidney and pancreas transplant to take care of both together. Similarly, we have a very efficient program doing heart and kidney transplant, or lung or kidney transplant, or liver or kidney transplant. So we are one of those centers too who do, multi-organ transplant, the patients, who are very sick.
The organ transplants from donors, is there an age limit that you would take a perfectly good kidney from, or not?
There is no hard and fast rules here, but mostly we try to get a kidney from someone, who's adult, from 18 years to somewhere, close to 60 years. But if somebody is in really good shape, even after 60, we can definitely get a kidney from them as well.
And a lot of times, you think about being a donor, and maybe if someone is maybe on the fence about it, I think you try to imagine if you had a loved one that needed that kind of service, you'd do anything in the world to try and make them better. And I think that's a good way to look at it, isn't it?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, that the two biggest advantage of, having a kidney transplant are, number one, the kidney transplant prolongs life. And number two, it gives a better quality of life. People don't have to go to, dialysis units, and spend 3 days in a week there. So if you look that way, you can help someone by giving a kidney, especially your loved ones or your friend, I think it's a big thing.
This must be rewarding work for you, Dr. Aziz.
Oh, absolutely. Means I was trained for it. I do it every day, and I have seen, people living the life they want to live, and that's the most satisfactory part of my job.
Well, it's wonderful to have you on here. We'll let you get back to your busy schedule. Anything else you'd like to add for our listeners today?
No, I would. The only thing I would say is that people should be more aware of chronic kidney disease. Take every right step to either prevent it or slow it down. And if unfortunately somebody has a failed kidney, they should definitely go for a transplant so that they can go back to the life they want to live.
Wonderful words to end on. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Phil, for having me.
Dr. Fahad Aziz joining us from UW Health in Madison.